live or are we not?
We are live now.
Okay, we are live.
We're
I just wanna
here.
make sure before I said anything crazy. That's right.
We're here.
We're here.
Is the
All right.
TV on?
The TV is on. I can see myself.
We can see everything. It's amazing.
Now me looks scary, but that's me.
That's just you.
That's just me.
That's just you, Sean.
Guys, boys and girls, limbs
We're
and legs.
still recovering from our last live
I know.
stream.
I'm hungover. Not really. I'm gonna let some people get filtered in here while Johnny gets set up on the chat.
I'm seeing the comments. Good
We
morning,
got some
everybody.
folks in.
I kind of want to add the Johnny cam.
Get
There's
Johnny cam.
the surrender's the culprit. Ha! Drink already. You
That's a
son
very
of a-
that's an appealing shot of Jonathan. Downward up.
Someone did just say I was
wonder who
like
gets a view like that.
I was like a what did they say about me, Derek? Keanu, a bulked up Keanu. I'm basically a fat Keanu, but I think the Derek said it was bodybuilder Keanu.
Keanu Reeves gained some weight to
Um,
become the strongman competition.
Hey. I think I could pick up one of those rocks and set them on the thing. You know, you ever seen that thing where they pick up the big boulders
You're a
and
hoss.
set them on those barrels?
You're a hoss.
And
there's nothing wrong with being a hoss. I think being a
I like
hoss
being
is
a hoss.
one of those respectable things. You
it's
know?
the only thing I know.
That's right.
It's all I know how to be.
Wow. Yeah.
We have no whiskey today.
No
Sorry.
whiskey.
No.
We're- no
No.
more. No more.
No lie. We drank all that whiskey in that live stream. I had a gig after
Oh God.
work. Sean, because he's a bastard, shows up and buys me a shot. And I was just starting to like feel pretty good. And I wasn't even really like that messed up. It's just that, you know, we did all that. We had not eaten. And I was just like, man, my stomach. But it's fine. No, I could drink beer right now. If we had beer,
Oh,
I would
dude.
absolutely be drinking it.
Beers, some brews, some big fat
Why don't we
Jeezys
have
in the morning.
beers? What we need. Derek said we were going to have a kegerator at one point.
Dude, we can do that. That'd be perfect.
But anyways.
Kegerator away.
It'd be fine. I'd be fine
Right.
if we drank whiskey. I wouldn't care.
Yeah, that'll be okay.
So.
Listen, this week, kindness. That's what we're gonna preach. That's this whole live stream. All right. I know you're
So
probably
forget
like,
everything we said on that 250 list.
Forget all that. All right. Kindness. Not so much kindness in the sense of like the 250 list, but kindness to other people. Like whenever you go to a guitar store, be polite, be kind. I don't have to tell you guys this because we got some of the best customers in the world, some of the best viewers in the world, some of the best
We
friends.
do. We're
in
preaching
the
to
world.
you're preaching to the choir, Sean, but it's okay. Keep on.
But listen, if you know somebody out there who, and listen, we've all been there. We've all been assholes. All right. I've been an asshole. I'm probably being one right now.
Yeah.
It's fine. But you know what? If you got a friend out there, you need to tell them, hey man, don't be an asshole.
Don't be mean.
That's right. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to come down on people. You don't have to tell people, hey, you know what? No, just
Where do you think? Let's talk about. Let's seriously. Let's unpack this, right? Because I'd say like 90% of the people who walk through our door in the shop are nice people.
yes.
Like, and I don't mean,
Yes.
I mean, like, you can't judge whether they're actual nice people. I'm talking about they like sort of present themselves as nice people.
In the sense of they walk through the door. Oh, hey, how's it going? How you doing today?
But then there's a very small percentage that come in and they're just kind of dicks. And I don't know that there's any.
Yes.
That's just the percentage of people. There are people out in the world who are just not.
Yeah.
Well,
and
whatever.
maybe, is that an ingrained thing? Is that a raising thing?
I don't know, but here's the part that I want to focus on. The leftover, like 5 or so percent, they come in and I think I had this experience yesterday. I think they think that like, it's like going to a used car lot and you got to have that kind of hard exterior. And like that if we speak, then I'm trying to get you, you know what I mean? And so like, cause our philosophy is we don't generally say, like, can we help you with something? Can we get you something? Can we show you something? We're just like, hey, how's it going? And we just try to talk to people when they come in because nobody likes to be sort of hounded.
Yeah.
Oh my God, let's get you on this. We're with you on that. We're
Well, and to the opposite effect of that, if you don't say,
anything.
how's it going to somebody, I've seen guys get up that same 5%. Well, you didn't even speak to me when I came to the
They're
door.
the ones who will leave and leave a Google
Yes.
review. No one spoke to me and I was
Yes.
there for 45 minutes and there's probably usually like 2 minutes, but
Yes.
whatever.
But like you're saying, we're not hounding you for a sale. We're not.
No, we're just saying hello.
Yes, we're just literally
Genuinely,
just saying hello.
And I know there are places that will do that, but I think those places are dying off. And I think probably most places, unless we're talking about maybe in some of those like super, maybe in Guitar Center where it's still sort of fostered like, hey, we got to make this commission, get after it.
Yeah.
Sure. And I almost, I kind of get it. I mean, those guys, they don't have a ton of choice in that matter.
Yeah.
But still, even in Guitar Center, like the best salesman I knew in Guitar Center in Nashville, they didn't do that. They didn't handle people. They had relationships with customers.
Yeah. Well,
So-
and that's how we frame it. We're like I said, whenever I say friends and some of our best friends, everyone that I can think of right now, and tons of people come up on that list, whether it's Fred, Surrender, Cindy. I mean, I can go down a whole crazy list of names, but we like all you guys. You guys are the bomb, And at no point is this about like a sale. And also to just put this out in the air, we don't make commission.
No, we don't do commission.
Whenever I have heard phone calls, where, and, they'll either be directed towards me. Dylan's had to deal with it where he's like, well, I only work with Baxter. I only work. It's like, hey, Dylan is fantastic. He can take care of you. I promise.
Well, we try to be a little more like a team.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to be all too touchy-feely. Jeffrey Quest says he just got his strap back from setup with you guys. Thank you. I'm pretty sure that would have been you who did that. And he said he had a great experience with us, and we appreciate that.
There you go.
Now, Sean says, my tech at GC does the best job I've found on setting up my guitars. That doesn't surprise me because, people talk junk about, and I'm guilty as well, like the GC garage, because it's a crapshoot, but you forget, it's not like this crazy like behemoth of like every GC tech is the same. It depends on who they hire. So there are I used to take my guitar to GC Nashville all the time because the guy was my friend and he was great, and he just happened to work at Guitar Center. So I'm sure there are GC garages where they have like stupidly good techs. There's also stupidly bad ones, but I mean, that could be true for any shop, right? I mean, that could just be true anywhere.
And, there's a guy up in Raleigh. His name's Kirby. He's at the GC in Raleigh. And he is the nicest person in that whole entire Guitar Center that I've met. Everybody else in there has kind of like, they brush you off and treat you like you're dirt on their shoe or something. But Kirby specifically has always been nice and friendly. And like he's showed me and my friend Tommy stuff, like all kinds of stuff, It was great knowing that guy. He was an awesome dude. If he's still there, I hope he is.
Mayor McChee says, please buy guitars so Sean can afford new jeans without holes. These are not real holes. These are photo. It's kind of like that new Martin.
That's right.
With the photo relic.
Not real.
That's photo like flame knees.
This is flesh. This is not flesh.
No,
Not flesh.
No. But anyways.
Yeah.
So there you go. But anyway.
I just moved to Raleigh, met Kirby recently. He's a cool dude. He is what you want a luthier to be, which is just like our friend Dan Dinkins.
Dan Dinkins also awesome.
Overly welcoming. Like just wants you to hang out and drink a beer and talk to him for 4 hours, dude. It's pretty great.
I don't know Kirby, but I want to.
He's a great guy. He really is. Like he's.
And where is he? Is he his own things? Or is he?
He's in the Guitar Center. Yeah.
In the Guitar Center.
Yeah, he's in the garage. Yeah.
Cool.
The garage.
Awesome. Rob says, good morning. Always a pleasure to see you guys. My nephew now knows what a great guitar shop is about. See you all in December. There you go.
It was wonderful seeing you yesterday. Man.
Always good.
Yeah.
Has some lesson action.
That's right.
Rob even puts up with lessons from me. So
it's great.
It
was great. Yeah. I mean, but once again, kindness. Rob's a great guy. Rob's kind, came in yesterday. We had a great conversation, talked, laughed, joked, Nothing in life should be this serious, especially, and I say that, hang on. Nothing, whenever it comes to a guitar shop, should be so serious that you feel like everything's about to fly off the rails. It's like, it's okay.
All right, guys,
Sorry.
let's get serious here. For
Okay.
A second.
I'm ready.
Getting
Derek's
serious.
got something serious.
Here we go.
Sus Lizard Gaming. Yes.
All
Okay.
right.
Go ahead, Derek. I'm ready. Oh my God. I have some opinions about this. And you might be surprised by them.
Dude. I'm not going to say it. Never mind.
No, you got to say it now.
I can't say it. Never mind. I thought some wild stuff there really quick. It's good.
Okay. What do you
Yeah,
think?
man. No, I mean, I'm glad Oprah has her own guitar now. It's great.
Listen, whatever you think about Bruno Mars,
Nah,
this guitar looks awesome.
It does look great.
I mean,
I like Bruno Mars.
I like Bruno Mars too. So, okay. So this guitar is like relic. I mean, the checking looks awesome in the pictures, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a 70s Strat, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I don't know how I feel about the noiseless bridge pickup. but it could be cool. I mean, it's just the bridge, though, right?
He doesn't look like Oprah. He looks like Halle Berry.
So
That's
let's
yeah.
talk real quick about
That's the one asking me
this
this
guitar has a
3
bunch of firsts.
Yep.
Actually. Right.
All right.
So
Yeah.
this is the first time you've had relicking on an American production guitar.
Yeah, because this isn't like the Paisleys or the Mike McCready's or whatever.
No,
This is made in America.
Made in America.
Well, and what I'll say to your point too, there, do we have the Derek mic over there? They can hear you, right?
They can hear me just
Okay, cool. If, to Derek's point here too, I think this is one of the first times we've seen such a light relic on a guitar made by Fender outside of the custom shop. Like very light to the sense that it's not it's beat to beat to
Well,
hell.
I mean, the Venteras aren't that beat the hell, but this one's looks a lot better to me.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's very close to.
We didn't realize it was relic till we zoomed in on, saw some of the better angles with all that checking, and it looks pretty awesome. I mean, I'm interested to try this guitar. I think it's going to be cool. Now, the thing right about it is it's $3,000. I mean, you think, okay, it's American made, it's nitro. Maybe it's worth $3,000.
stainless steel frets.
Is it stainless steel frets?
Yep.
Did Bruno Mars just come out with what everybody's been wanting?
Maybe. I feel like that's what he does anyways. Right?
I mean, well, that's what I was going to say is like, I know one of the biggest
Color's cool.
complaints that I feel like I get, and, you can probably chime in on this too, is people want stainless steel frets. They want, a decently made guitar, usually a nitro with a good set of pickups in it. And I feel like this did it, right? Is this the thing?
I kind of want it.
Yeah.
It's the first non-custom shop I've wanted in a minute, probably.
Yeah.
Like I thought, man, I really maybe would enjoy this guitar.
Now, does the Signature Series thing bother you at all?
Nah. It'd be different if it was like, Bruno Mars's face on the front of the guitar, right? But it's just, it's only on the, maybe a little signature up there, and then maybe like the neck plate.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything. No, I'd have a Bruno
I would
Mars.
play that. Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to order this same guitar from the custom shop,
We could spec this guitar from the custom shop, and it'd be $5,000. It'd be $2,000 more.
you get stainless steel frets.
No, not until you go to a master boat. That's true. It's true. I mean, like,
no sense.
I mean,
absolutely, Mayor McCheese.
maybe this is the wave of change, though, which would be great. And if so, maybe Bruno Mars is leading the war here,
Well,
which would be great. I would love to see a wave of change where Fender starts to say, oh, okay,
I do
time
wish,
to modernize. So
like, I'm fine if like, I don't understand the like custom shop thing without stainless steel frets. And I get they take more time. I get their rough round tools and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it just seems like it should be an upcharge. You shouldn't have to go all the way to Masterbuilt.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. Maybe there's more to it than we think, but I can see there being much more, especially Jonathan's had a couple of guitars that have been refretted.
Yep.
And they were done stainless steel by our friend Dan Dinkins.
Who did a phenomenal job, by the way.
And I mean, he told us, he's like, it's a little rougher on the tools, it's a little rougher on the arms, but doing it is doing it. It doesn't really change much.
I mean, I understand it being a pain in the ass, kind of, and I understand people charging for it, and I understand it,
Oh, I get that completely. I think there should be an upcharge, but also whenever there's so many places that seem to just be doing it, it's kind of like, all right, you guys are making some of the best guitars in the world. Let's do it.
How do you think? I mean, like, I don't think people think of Bruno Mars as like, oh, I'm a guitar player. I don't think he necessarily thinks of himself. Somebody said in the interview, I haven't watched the interview, but like he's basically saying he's not a guitar player, right? Obviously, he plays guitar. Like, I think he did a good job of that Prince thing. He played well, right? Like, it sounded cool. Little above the Jonas guy.
Yeah. Well,
but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
He's just cool.
Yeah, all jokes aside, I mean, Bruno Mars is a superstar. You know what I mean?
He's got one of the best touring bands
Yes.
out there right now.
Well, and the thing that he did with Anderson .Paak that's phenomenal. Like, anybody who's like, oh, I don't like Silk Sonic, I'm like,
I don't know anything about that.
hey, it's super great. I mean, it's funky, it's tight. Anderson .Paak's a great drummer. I mean, the tones are great. Sure, is it like guitar music? Probably not like the most guitar music, but I don't really like Joe Bonamassa.
So here's an interesting point. How long since this is Matt Kuntz? How long since he has had a hit? Sorry, not hating, but a signature guitar maybe 5 years ago, but not now. I mean, does that matter? Because how long has it been since Mike McCready's had a hit? Well, they're out touring, and Pearl Jam is huge, right? And so I think Bruno Mars is
Well,
you know,
what I'll
pretty
say
huge.
too is with the Silk Sonic thing, whenever they did that, that was only 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and that record still sounds phenomenal. Like it's huge, you know. That was a huge hit, you know. The Leave the Door Open, great song, you know. You might not have known that it was Bruno Mars, but it
I mean,
was.
this is for once an actual signature model that brings something new to the table that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, it does something completely different.
That's a really
which is
good
nice.
point. I mean, because there's how many times do we get signature models and it literally is just a little signature on the headstock or it's a
Yeah.
color, you know? I mean, nothing against the Steve Lacy thing,
Yeah.
but I mean, you know, what did that have anything weird in
They
it?
had the fuzz, built-in fuzz, you know. Well, I feel like some signature models do this, and to me at least, there's some gimmicky things that they do,
Right.
and then there's some things that they do that I'm like, okay, somebody actually wanted that, you know. Like the Brent Mason is a great example of that's just how his guitar is, you know.
That's how the guitar. Well, I think that maybe sometimes, right? Like a guitar company wants to sort of honor a player, or the cynical answer thinks they can make money off a player's name, right? And they say, hey, we want to do a signature model for you. What do you want? Well, there's some people that just their personalities are like, I don't know, I just the guitar, right?
Yeah.
But then there's some people who are going to think through, what can I do different? And Bruno Mars strikes me as a very detail oriented,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, just really
know.
getting into the finer details of that guitar, you know, even from the pickups, you know. It seems like they were selected, you know. There's a noiseless one in there as well, I think is what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mayor McCheese said YouTube influencers shouldn't get signature models. I said it. Discuss. What do you think, Sean?
Come on, guys. I thought we were on the same team. I thought we were, you know.
I mean,
This
who's
is-
got one besides Beato?
Marty.
Marty Schwartz,
Somebody else has one too.
probably.
I saw some guy, there's some, I like to stay up to date with like all our different manufacturers. So I'll go down like their websites and check out, you know, who's on their artist roster, stuff like that, right? I went to their Quaker Devices one, and if you go all the way to the bottom, there's this guy on there, and he's got to be some kind of YouTube guy or something. I have no idea, but he's like in his living room with no shoes on. You can see his toes. It's a very weird photo. But I was seeing that, and I was like, is he a YouTube personality? I need to look him up. I can't remember his name, but
Well, there's a difference in having being on the artist roster and having a signature model, right?
a huge difference.
A huge
right?
difference, right? So I mean, like, you know,
I mean,
I don't know, man. Like a lot of people, I mean, like I'm kind of like my heart wants to be like, yeah, YouTube influencers don't deserve signature guitars, but I think it depends on like why you like what kind of influencer you are, maybe.
what?
Because like you could say like Tom Bukovac, you know,
Man,
I mean, like is he
He
an
could
influencer? Yeah, kind of, but he also is an amazing session guy, like
Yes.
who's played for Joe Walsh.
well, you
you know?
kind of like Brent Mason that way, right?
Right, you
So
know.
it's like if he got a signature model, I wouldn't be too surprised. I don't guess. I would
Like,
think,
what
oh,
about
cool.
Mateus Asado? You know, I think most people think of him from his Instagram stuff, but played all sorts of live stuff. Actually, has played for Bruno Mars, right?
Yep.
That would have been cool. Like, I wonder if he had a hand in any of it. Actually, I didn't even think about that yet.
Now
But-
they should. Oh man, they should have done a Bruno.
Slash
Like
Mateus.
yes, that
But,
would have been dope. They
like,
call it the
like
Silk Sonic. or
he's
something.
such a good player. I mean, like, it goes back to the stupid, ridiculous piece of shit Rolling Stone list. What
Oh
are your,
yeah. Oh yeah.
like what
Whoa.
are your criteria, right? If it's just you're an amazing player and the influencer is an amazing player and has reached millions, then maybe. But I don't know. I mean, because there's all sorts of people with signature guitars that I don't. If we're just talking about like, hey, you have to be a crazy great player. I don't know. Maybe it's just the influence.
Yeah.
It
And if
raises
is-
a lot of questions.
If it is just the influence, then why doesn't like a Paul Davids have a signature model? Why doesn't, you know, who was the guy I was just thinking of? There was somebody wild. Oh, Chris Buck. Well, I guess Chris Buck has the Yamahas. the Rev Stars, but they're not.
But they're not.
signature,
There's no signature. There's
Yeah.
no Chris Buck Yamaha.
You know, which hey Yamaha, you know what needs to happen? I don't know.
No, I mean, Maymar G says those guys are cool. He's talking about dudes who strictly do like TikTok. Yeah, I'm not super into that either. But I mean, like the Steve Lacy guy, right?
Yeah.
Is that what he does? Like Sean has to
No.
educate me on these things because I'm old.
Steve Lacy actually puts out albums, you know, and you know, he's a very good songwriter. I like that Bad Habit song. You know, is a lot of that record that came out was really great. He actually fell victim to TikTok, which whenever I say fell victim to, and some of you guys might not know this, I'll just inform everybody on it now because that's what I'm doing.
Inform us, Sean. Inform us.
So-
What'd you say about not being an asshole?
There you go. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Full circle.
So Steve Lacy was somewhat well known. He was like a very decently sized indie artist, you know. Well, he put out the most recent record that he had. I can't think of the name of it, and he exploded because he had this song called "Bad Habits" that blew up on TikTok. Everybody was putting it in videos and stuff. Well, his shows started to really sell out. Like, you know, it was a big influx of
Right.
people coming out, right? Great. The issue is people would go to these shows and they would ruin them for the other people, you know? And I saw this all secondhand. I'm not a huge Steve Lacy fan. I just know of him. And he got the full brunt force of the negative side of TikTok, which is overpopularity, Nirvana aspect, you know? Like, so he hopefully won't kill himself. Don't kill yourself, Steve.
There's some good points about some things in the comments. Somebody said that they were sure Red Shoal was going to be on the Rolling Stone list, and then someone else replied by saying that Josh Scott sent him some horrible some videos of his horrible slide tone, which I think is hilarious. If you're not familiar with the JHS Red Shoal slide feud, you should go back and watch all those videos because they're pretty funny.
Red.
But you know.
Is it a real feud?
Now, Greg McFadden says, with the specs, it's priced about right. Put stainless steel frets and relic on American Vintage 2, and you're at about $3,000. That's true, you know, without artist pricing and other specs. Let's see what Genrai Miner has to say. A bunch of metal, heavy guitar brands have so many YouTuber artists. Also very true. For the YouTube social media side of things, if you got mad chops, you should get your own model to help sell the brand. I think that's kind of where I'm at. Here's what I think is weird. It's like these days, you almost can't make it without doing the social media junk. It's like if you are an artist at a certain level, right, which is the level of like people who play guitar and get artist deals these days, right? Because if you're a pop star, you probably, I mean, not necessarily, but it's few and far between the pop stars, right, who are like just superstar famous that are out playing guitar. You know, like Bruno Mars is like the exception, obviously, but you almost got to be an influencer if you almost, you know what I mean? It's like,
well, you know, and I don't know, from everything that I've seen, the Rick Beato model is cool. Just to speak on like YouTube signature models, like, I don't know. I think that's a really cool guitar. I have a guitar that's not far off from that though, you know? So I don't know like what makes it super signature outside of the color, but I haven't done any research on this, so I'm not the authority on it, you know?
well, it's like extra light and thin and all that kind of junk. It's got some few little
Okay, a
things.
couple of things.
Um,
I mean, is that something cool though? Because maybe that's the way through these communities that we build, like, because that would be an interesting thing. Like if we ever reached a point where we were able to do a signature model, I think it'd be way cooler to talk to all of, you know, you guys and see what you would want out of a signature model that you're not seeing anywhere.
well, I was gonna say maybe that's the way we get these specs that we want, or these mods that we just want the company to do that we haven't really had.
Yeah, because for
you know,
me personally,
like stainless steel frets.
yeah, like I love the guitars that I have. If, you know, somebody was like, "We're gonna give you a signature model," I'd be like, "I guess just make this guitar that I have because this is what I always wanted." You know, I kind of, you know what I mean? Like I feel like you're kind of in the same vein where you might make some modifications, but I'd rather figure out what it is that people are dying for. You know?
Yeah. I mean, if someone asked me about a signature guitar, like there's nothing stupidly crazy I want.
Same,
Right,
Yeah.
you
Like
know?
I just want a good guitar.
You know, I mean, I you know.
But
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
the Bruno Mars, maybe that's a great example of they just kind of looked at what people wanted, you know? It's like stainless steel frets, nitro finish with a light relic, you know, big headstock.
Peter Moore, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Check out that we did a fun demo the other day. It's a little mystery at the end to see
Mystery.
see what amp I'm playing through. or if it's an amp at all. It might not be. But anyways, I appreciate that. Bill Shikaitis says start with the signature pedal.
We
I
did
feel like
that.
that's becoming a thing.
We had
a signature pedal.
Got some signature
Tone
pedals.
Tuga.
We had the Pitch Shark, I believe it was called.
Yeah,
I
that was our first one.
There's
think
still
we-
one over there in the case.
Yes, we still have one left.
So Metalhead Hippie, hello, sir. But you know, there you go. That was a good one, Derek. That was a good topic. The Bruno Mars guitar.
Bruno.
I'd be interested to see. It'll be interesting to see. You know, like we've talked about before, like guitars that kind of take on their own life, not despite, but kind of separate from the artist. Like what's the dude's name? Jay Mascis, like the Squire. You know what I mean? Or like, I mean, there's a couple guitars like that, right? Where I don't even know that people care about. Well, what's the PRS that they sell so many of?
The
Shine
the
Down guy.
DGT. Oh no. The Zach Myers.
The Zach Myers. You know, I don't think people are buying that because they
They're
love Zach
shining.
Myers. I mean, not that anything against
Yeah.
that particularly, but I think it's just become a cool guitar, right? Like, so I wonder if this will be one that people are just like, oh, I want one of those because it's great.
There's like a balance to that, right? And I feel like with a lot of those guys, like Troy Van Leeuwen, I think suffered from that early on whenever he got that signature Jazzmaster, where people may have heard of the name, but it was more associated with just a really cool guitar. You know?
All right. So here's a question, Sean.
Yep.
How many pedals does a person need?
How many pedals does this person need?
Now you gotta qualify the question. Like on your board, like in general. Because the answer in general is all of the pedals.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, if you saw mine and Jonathan's little storage areas of pedals at our houses, you'd be like, oh,
Here's
my God.
the funny thing about that, right? And I feel like this is just getting older, but you're on the advanced accelerated track. Most of my life, I only owned the pedals that were on my board.
Yeah.
So like if I got new pedals and took them off my board, I would sell those pedals. And most of that was propagated by like, you know, I was like a working musician or trying to be. And it was always a money. Like I just didn't keep a bunch of pedals around. Like I would sell things to buy the new thing to upgrade most of the time, right? Now, like I finally hit the point not too long ago where I was like, man, I could just build a whole separate board. And then I ended up building a board around a Tone X for when I had to fly or go play a gig with like no amps, like a silent stage kind of thing. And now I've got two boards pretty much built and still have pedals all around my little shed that I play in. But I find myself now, like if I'm like occasionally I'll do like remote recording, you know, or somebody will send me the track and I'll play guitar and send back the files, whatever. Now I find myself, I don't always plug my main pedal board in. Like I'll say, oh, I think this cool Tube Screamer, you know, is going to sound cool. And so I'll grab it and it's just sitting there, right? You know what I mean? Like, so I always have like the little power supply on like my little makeshift spare thing at home that kind of acts as like throw together pedal board.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. Like I used to didn't think I would enjoy that because I just liked having everything together.
Yeah.
But now I kind of mix and match a bit more.
I mean, for me, with all that in mind too, like, I don't know. There's something to the experimentation of it. Like whenever I buy pedals, I usually know in my head, I'm like, I'll just never get rid of this, you know, because I don't know. I feel like there's always like a purpose for it. If you buy stuff that you know is like fairly in your wheelhouse and usable, you're going to want to use it. You know what I mean? Like having a Tube Screamer lying around or, you know, a Big Muff kind of pedal or, you know what I mean? Like there's just stuff that you probably just have that you're like, oh,
that I don't use all the time on the board because it's not my like core sound, but
if you needed
it's kind of nice to have that.
You would say, oh, you know what? I do want like a fuzz face sound for this maybe. And you got a pedal that does.
I have decided I want all the way huge pedals. I'm gonna get all not the old like crazy expensive ones, like the first round of like like I want the pork loin and the fat sandwich and even the swollen pickle, even though I don't really like it. But now Mayor McCheese says he mean like strip down as far as you can. What do you need? I mean, you don't need anything.
A Digitech whammy.
I mean, I could go do most of the gigs that I do with like a delay and an overdrive and a tuner. But in my perfect strip down world, I'd have delay, reverb, overdrive, trim. I'd be like super happy with that.
I played a whole gig with just a Big Muff once, just to see if I could do it.
You absolutely can do it.
And yeah, like you know, with a good amp that I was able to turn up and get to a reasonable volume, it It worked out great. I don't know. And reverb in the amp, tremolo in the amp, you know.
Mhm.
I'm of the mindset I go both ways. I'm kind of like, you know, you can do either one. You know?
I like General I Minor says, keep refining your board, but hang on to those randoms and don't cut it if you can afford it. That's really good advice, honestly. And like, again, I used to not, but now I don't really get rid of pedals just because it's like, plus I just like them. I just like them around.
Yeah.
They're like little decorations, paperweights.
I mean, you know, if I gave you, okay, how about this as the question to ask, right? If I said,
Hey, listen, the Mighty Woodrow's on here. Don't talk your shit about 412.
Oh, sorry, hang on. If I gave you a deluxe reverb and the M80 or like a Marshall, like that Silver Jubilee we got next door. If I give you those two amps and an ABY switch, and I said, here you go.
Yep.
You can have any guitar you want. You can have more guitars. You can have 3 or 4 guitars if you want to. Would you take that, or would you take the deluxe reverb and a whole pedal board? And I also, to preface this, you can turn those amps up as loud as you want.
Okay, volume's not a factor.
Volume is not a factor.
I'll take
You
the
can
2
be
amps.
Yeah.
If volume's not a factor, I could take the deluxe reverb and a good guitar where I could, you know,
Man,
with volume.
I've been really into playing like cranked up Princetons or deluxe reverbs. Whenever you can get them up to that 5 area, 5, 6, magic can happen, dude. I mean, you can do some real magic.
Yeah. I will say, I gotta have to say, we were joking about our friend, the Mighty Woodrow. His name is Jeremy. He and I favor considerably. So he's a good looking man. And but check out, he's a great guitar player. Check out his band Aftermath if you guys are ever in the area.
Yes.
It's quite a show.
He thoroughly rips.
Yep.
He came to the Blues Jam last week and
crushed it.
He did some stuff.
Some Gary Moore kind of action. And it was
amazing.
Awesome.
There's this moment where you put your hand up on the back of the guitar like this and you're doing like this lead line. I was like, what a badass.
It's very good.
What a badass, dude.
But back to that, like I've never really done a gig where I could just switch amps. You know what I mean? Like I've never had that setup really, but I love it because one of my heroes, you guys have never heard me talk about Mike Campbell before. So I know that's a shock that I love him. I know. But that was kind of his thing for a while, right? Like this little wall of combo amps.
Yeah.
And instead of like necessarily going in, and he didn't have a ton of pedals, right? He did have pedals, obviously, but switching between all those tones is really cool.
Arguably,
you know,
if you gave me some AC-15s.
Dude, well, I mean, imagine if you had like a cool Marshall, something Voxy, a couple different Fenders, and when we did that thing where I played all the amps on the back wall, and like a lot of them are old Fenders, so you kind of think, oh, they're all going to sound the same. I was kind of shocked how different they sounded, and that none of those were like would have been my pick of tones, maybe like because obviously I didn't have them dimed in here, and they were, you know,
but you would have a super reverb, a deluxe reverb, and probably a Princeton or something in that world, you know, maybe even a Basement.
Dude, I could see, for me, Basement is like,
there you go,
kind of king, but I love super reverbs. Maybe in that situation, if like money and space is no object, maybe a twin, man. Because like nothing's better than like the creamy, like clean. Well,
that would be.
There's a reason Leo made them. I mean, you know,
you gotta have one for every occasion. No, I mean, I think I would do something very similar. Like if you were on a stage like that, and you could just do it all, I would, and I'd have a couple of pedals just for fun, like some delay stuff and everything. But
got a shout out to Derek behind the camera, beeping, booping the knobs for this live stream. Derek deserves a shout out because Derek, listen, I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Give it to him.
I come in here, set my behind on this stool, and wait for Derek to make magic things happen. And it's just, I don't really know how to help because I'm ignorant in a lot of the production things, but it's pretty great. Wow. So Derek absolutely deserves
a
shout out.
Derek just disappeared for a second on us, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to say this into the camera, right? Derek's an awesome guy. You guys ever get a chance, whenever you come through, give him a shout out. Go to Neon Rooster, man.
Go to the Neon Rooster.
He is doing the Lord's work down there, and it's tough. And running a music venue, being somebody who works at the same venue as well, sometimes it can be a thankless job. Sometimes it can be brutally disrespecting to yourself, like the way that people treat you. Like it's awful. Like I don't know how else to say it, but Derek does a fantastic job, and he's always smiling. So
He does.
he deserves all the flowers, and he doesn't get them very often, which is frustrating. So give it
Okay.
to the man if you get the chance. Anyways, ran over.
I
What we
lost the comment. Someone's, I think it was Mayor McCheese, says that we need to embrace Marshalls, especially for Les Pauls. I feel like we are, well, it's not that we don't like, I have a hard time finding a Marshall. And some of that is right. Like for a lot of my existence, a Marshall was either like the really cheap kind of crap preamp, or they were like crazy expensive to get like
Yeah.
UK made, like reissue or whatever. Or vintage, right? So, like, I don't know. I just never found an actual Marshall, but I love the Marshall sound. And I mean, I think I kind of embraced it with the whole M80 thing. But,
Now,
you know,
I'll tell you guys what I've been doing in the shop, and the reason why I was talking Deluxe Reverb, Princeton, and a Marshall Silver Jubilee. We had somebody come and drop one off as a trade-in piece, and oh my God, that Silver Jubilee reissue is like, that thing's phenomenal.
I was kind of impressed by
I
that.
played the hell out
honestly.
of that thing, man. It is
Yeah.
great. Like, if somebody doesn't buy it, you're messing up. Like, that was a really good amp.
All right. Got a question, and I think it's going to lead us to a new topic that you guys won't care about, but I'm excited about it. They say, what do we think about the Supro Delta King amps?
Nah, they're good. They're good. I'm kidding.
Well, you know, the Delta King is like the sort of like,
It's the blues. It's the old Blues King, right?
it was the Blues King, and then now it's the Delta King. I think they look awesome. I think they sound really good. I don't know that they're particularly like the Supro sound, which is true for a lot of the like entry level stuff for those amps. But I think they sound great and they're super usable.
To me, I only played the Blues Kings. I played one Delta King, and it wasn't a good example of one for me to play, honestly. I compare them a lot to the Blues Juniors, but I would take either one. Like, if you,
I think
Either
if
way
you're
you
going to
go.
non-pedal it, like
Yeah.
if you weren't going to use overdrive pedals, the Delta King or the Blues King.
it's got
wins.
the built-in boost. Too,
It's just
right?
got a boost,
Yeah.
and to me, it's got more gain on tap if you want it.
Which I
And it's kind of that gnarly thing. It's a stupidly good slide amp because it has that gnarly kind of like tweety thing it does. So I like it. Now, have you seen there is new and wired?
I thought this is what you were
Supros.
really going to talk about. Yeah, I was like, oh, here we go.
And I'm having a little bit of gas for them. Now, they're like $3,000. They're like, but made in America, hand built. They got that cool, like old Valco inspired cabinet, you know.
I haven't even seen the thing.
You should go see them. There's
Hold
the
them up.
All right.
ambassador and the delegate. So let me tell you, I'll tell you the specs before Derek even gets them because I've been excited about it. So the ambassador is like 25 watts. It's got master volume. It's sort of made. It's 112. It's made like rock and roll.
Yeah.
And then the ambassador though, 210s, 50 watts, and I think there's a half power mode. Right. It's supposed to be a little more like punchy and clean, like R&B kind of tones.
Okay.
No master volume, I don't think. No, you can just go down. You can cut the wattage in half. No, that's not even true. It's not in half. It's you can go from class A to class AB. So it's 50 watts class AB or 35 watts class A, and the other one, the 112, is always class A. Now, I love Supro. The way that I found Casino Guitars was I came in here when I first moved back to North Carolina to buy a Supra. So there's videos about all that story on my channel and on this channel. So if you care about that, go find them. But then, and at one point I had a bunch of Supros. Band I was playing with, we had a fire, our junk burned down. At one point, Supro they replaced my Royal Reverb when that happened with a modded one, which was really cool. So I have like such a soft spot in my heart for Supro, right? And then I kind of moved on to the Magnetone thing, right? But now that there's a hand-wired, I don't know. I think I'm probably being ridiculous, but there's a part of me that says, man, I'd sure like to have one.
There's something I got to tell y'all about Jonathan. Okay.
Oh, God.
We're going to get real.
Uh-oh.
Jonathan is a guitar saint. He'll buy a guitar. He'll love it till the day he dies. When it comes to amps, though,
He's
he
a
is what
whore.
we call a brand whore. All right. Jonathan collects all the amps, or at least, you attempt to collect as many as possible. And it's like a brand swap. And I've seen him go from all Supro to a couple of Fenders to all Magnetone. Full circle, baby.
Now listen, in my
Full circle.
defense, you're not wrong. I
It's
spent
okay.
most of my life with all Fenders. Most of my playing life has been all Fenders all the time.
Yes.
I got the Supro, and I did switch to I was like, man, I love these Supros. But then I had that when we first played the friggin' Magnetones at NAMM, and I was like, Baxter, we got to have these amps. Baxter's like, yeah, we got to have these amps. It kind of ruined me.
The Magnetones are
but see,
as hard to beat. Dude.
They're
Those
the
are
first
great.
amps I've ever had that I'm like, I can't imagine, because I wouldn't sell a Magnetone to buy one of the new Supro. I couldn't do that.
That's
you know
what I was gonna say.
I'm not yeah, I can do that. And I still have a Supro. I have a Supro Amulet that I love. It's like a great little grab and go amp. I mean, if you need an amp that's in that kind of Princeton world and you maybe don't want a Princeton, it's kind of awesome.
I was gonna say I couldn't foresee you getting rid of any of the amps that you have, including that Supro.
There's no amps that I could get rid of right now. You know,
that's a tough place to be, people. All right, I know it's sometimes
you poor guys with all this gear you love. I know we suck.
When it is whenever that could be the difference for you from getting one of these hand wired ones though. You know what I mean? And that's the hard part because I
would just like to add to it because I was like, man, I want a tweed Fender and I want a Bassman, but I can't afford a vintage tweed Bassman. I mean, I can get ahead, right?
Yes.
But I love the tweed ones, and I was kind of on that kick, but now I'm like, screw that. I want one of these.
I want to dump I'm thinking about dumping the Varsity for that hand wired Princeton.
Right. Oh my God.
But I can't.
You can't do it. All right. Real quick, let me read this $20 tip because that's awesome. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew says, hello, gentlemen. Yesterday, I bought a new guitar, and it's so hard to play. I'm sure it's the intonation. It is so incredibly heavy that it buzzes constantly. Most disappointedly, it hasn't bonded with me. I'm on my way. It happens. Happens a lot. Happens a ton.
Video of the 5 extensions to return your guitar.
I got it. I was like, what?
That's amazing. I love it.
We'll see you soon, Andrew.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
We've never heard any of these things before, so it's we're gonna take care of you. That was fantastic.
Yes.
But so you really think you would get rid of the Varsity for the Princeton? Because here's the problem, right?
I mean,
they do different things, kind of.
They do.
And so it's okay to swap something.
I know.
When they're in that same world, right?
I know.
But
you can't preach to me the things that the dark side of my mind is already saying. It's like you need them both.
I mean, but you do. If you didn't, if the difference in I think me when I was your age and I was just trying to play that was all I was doing, right? But you're doing you do production, you play for different folks, you're recording for different people, you kind of are at that point where it makes sense for you to have an amp library. I mean, you could just keep one and get the Tonemaster Pro.
You're giving me good
Tonemaster Pro. Just tell Skylar to talk to me. I'll talk to her.
I mean, it is tricky, and because it's just there's something about that amp. If you guys come into the shop, please come in and say, Sean, lead me to the Tone Nirvana, and we'll turn up the Princeton, and I'll be like, all right, go to town. Everything sounds good on it.
Eric says, I feel for you. For me, the Tone King Royalist MK3 has my heart. That was one I was watching videos of. It is so cool. The only thing I can't justify that for me is I have the Magnetone M80 and they live in that same world. But man, if I didn't have a British sort of flavored thing.
Yeah.
But Rob says, what about the Tonemaster Pro? Did you mess with it anymore? I did. In fact, the demo that came out yesterday is, I'm giving it away, but that's me playing the Tonemaster Pro. And man, it was great. And all I did, we didn't use any pedals in the Tonemaster. We literally I pulled up in 10 seconds, the Super Reverb, turned it all the way up, and reverb, and that is it. And it sounded great. So I'm going to I have a session to play in tomorrow, and I'm thinking about accidentally letting the Tonemaster fall into my truck just to see. I mean, I'm going to take amps too, obviously, and they'll have amps there, I'm sure. But
we got to do too. We need to, that make you. I almost want to get some footage of you doing that. That would be sick. If whether Derry goes or we just send you with a camera to set up.
I was going to say, I just take a tripod or whatever.
Yeah, set that up and catch some footage of you using it in real time and just seeing what it's like.
Let's see if Fender wants to send me one.
I think some of these folks might want that. If you'd want to see that, just say, hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because in the session I'm going for, it's a Christian songwriter guy, so for sure some of the tones live in that that I could get with some of the reverbs and delays in that thing. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll take that and just say to the producer, "Hey, I've got this thing. Do you want to try it?" I feel like that's cool for them too because it makes it really easy to like reamp.
Yeah.
things.
When I feel like they, if I saw somebody bring one of those in, I'd be kind of like, okay, well, let's play around.
Listen, I don't do any. I know that like when we record at Sean's place because we do record at Sean's house. He's got a little the joy of no children, so his half his house is basically a recording studio.
It's terrible. It's not a space, dude.
Children are wonderful, but you can't have a recording studio in your house. I mean, I guess you could, but it just works different. But like, so we use real amps at Sean's. But anything I record at my house, I use either Amplitude or Tonex, or for a while, like it was the Helix stuff, or like I was using the UA stuff. I've been a whore with that.
All sounds good,
But,
you send out tracks to people and you send them to me, but hey, what do you think? And I think they're phenomenal.
A bunch of Robbie Cummings stuff I've played.
I think
with
it's
the Tonex
great.
thing.
Yeah.
And we've done some live recordings where like, we were using not stage volume. And,
Well, any of those tracks that I were to get, if I ever felt the need, I mean, I could reamp it, but they sound good.
I'm kind of at the point where I believe that like, and somebody asked me this about the Tone Master yesterday. Like, I don't really want to use it live, but it has nothing to do with the sound quality. Like the sound quality is amazing. It's just when you're on a stage and you have a loudish amp, it feels different, right? Like there's a different experience. But like if your amp's mic'd off stage and you're using your ears, it's probably better with a modeler. But you are at the mercy of the sound guy. Like, we talked about Baxter and Derek went to see a show not long ago, and the modelers kind of sounded like garbage. Probably more to do with the front of house than.
I think you got a bit of front of house, and then something that you have to look at too is dependent on the venue. This goes along with the sound guy. The setup in that venue can make a lot of difference. Like at the Rooster, something that we have is our speakers are hung high. We don't have anything to fill in the space up front because it's such a small room.
So they don't work great there.
Yes, there's no reason to really fill out that space though. And we would be chopping people's heads off because we have so much volume.
Right.
Now, to combat that, it is just have a really good amp that you can turn up.
Well, and that's still my favorite. I enjoy that more than the modeler. But again, it's nothing to do with the sound. And I mean, so the modelers for like recording when you're already monitoring that way, kind of great. You know what I mean? Especially if you're not on like some big budget, like in a studio. Sean McCartney says Tone Junkie puts out a great preset pack for the Tone Master that is entirely set up for church music. I have Tone Junkie's Tonex presets or some of them. And in fact, what I almost always find myself using if I have to play like for Robbie Cummings or whoever in the band context is the Tone Junkie's AC30 and Deluxe Reverb presets. And some of those are free right now, I think. So heck yeah, go to Tone Junkie. They have interesting videos too. I enjoy their videos. But anyways,
let me ask you this while we're on the topic of amps and modelers. What do you think about this new UA Lion pedal? Because I kind of want one. The sound clips I've heard, I'm like a sucker right now.
All you got to do is go watch Phil X play it. And if you don't want it,
oh my God.
I would like to try it.
I've seen the Van Halen covers and I'm just like, holy shit.
It is impressive, man.
It's nuts. I'm like, that sounds
I hate to say
close.
like how good they're getting. And I made my joke about how people said it in like 2001 with those Johnson J stations. It's just like an amp. But it's really freaking close.
It's really close. And you know what I say? I think you can have both. I think you should have both, because if you have an opportunity to play a loud amp on a stage, do it. Oh my God, do it. Because whenever you do it, it's the most fun.
It's addictive. It's like a drug.
The most fun I've had as a guitar player has been doing that.
The most fun. And I've had some fun with modelers. They're just different. It's just the modeler will always seem like a tool, just a tool thing to me. You know what I mean? Like the amp is like I lust after amps, like the super amp, like I'm like, man, I really want this.
And there's a little something rewarding about lugging that thing all the way into the venue. And I had this night at the Poorhouse that I told you about, and you were like, it's great, man. Sometimes your tone always sounds like that. It's always behind you, and you just don't know it. But I got to set it up high, and I turned around, and I was like, oh my God.
And you were just like, oh,
you just fit, like I was like, perfect. This is what I did all this stuff for,
Okay, all right. Let's. Have we tried the UA Ox Stomp?
No. We have not.
I'm split on this. Like, it's cool, but like, why make the modeler pedals and then be like, oh, and you need this Ox Stomp? I don't know. I just don't know if I get it.
Well, my other thought with that too is with those same modelers, it has the speaker emulation within it, But also, if you're running it out to the house in there's a lot of things about that confuse me that I'm like I don't really understand what more you're gaining ground wise. I need to look into it more. I'm probably just being ignorant on it,
You're able to use other like cabinet kind of things, and it's got a lot of control and it's got some effects built into it. I think like kind of like the aux box does, but you can't run an amp into it, obviously. I think it just gives you more control. I don't know.
If anybody out there has plugged that pedal into the back of your amp, please let us know.
They have, because on some of the videos I watched, they're like, do not plug your amp into this. Don't plug your head into this. And they said it like 10 times.
Turn it on.
So I guarantee.
Man, that's a disaster right there. Oh my God.
General Miner says those old Johnson Millennium amps are kind of slept on for real. Gen Z will dig them up and think they're cool. They probably would, because there's probably like a sound to them that is his own thing. Because we always said like modelers, like or captures, whatever they are, profilers. I just find the tone that sounds good. Don't worry about if it's exactly the same as
Well, that's the thing, right? I think a lot of people are chasing. I want it to sound exactly like this. It's like no. If it's good, it's good. Make it sound good. It'll be great.
Homegrown Son says, how does Sean feel about playing a 5 to 15 watt tube amp like a champ on stage? I can tell you he feels very good about it.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had a Vibro champ he lugged around for a while. Then we had all sorts of fun.
And I was like, I was the Southern Pines gig terrorist.
The bandit,
dude.
the gig
I was
bandit.
Like jumping on. Like,
suddenly somebody's there with a little.
He's like, hey, shut up. Stop playing. Oh, my God.
The Mighty Woodrow says there's nothing like a roaring 412 blasting at the back of your knees, Sean. Knees and buttocks. They're tall. 412 is tall enough to hit you in the buttocks.
I am not as stout as the Mighty Woodrow.
That's true.
I am but a simple boy.
I'm not a man. Boy.
I'm not a man. I can't lug around those 412s, baby.
Someone said how's Baxter after the surgery? He's good. It was a very minor procedure. Yep. Surgery is maybe even procedure is probably the better word.
Yes.
He's good.
The same day he was talking, eating, making fun of Baxter or making fun of Derek.
Overly positive self.
Big announcement.
Oh, Taylor Clement is the mayor
of the world.
Southern Pines, baby.
Yeah, that's true. It's crazy.
Basically the world.
We basically work for the mayor. We're basically a government office now.
Now, I want to give the shout out to some of the great supporters. Mr. Rafiq, our local friend, Derek hung out with him all day, which in itself is a feat as well.
Another big shout out to Derek for that one.
We love Rafiq, but he can be a lot, and Derek was there by his side, being the man. All right. If you don't know it, you know it now. Derek's the man.
He's
hiding. He's hiding back there. He's doing the Lord's work.
Doing the work of God, just like the Blues Brothers.
So we got to get you a fedora. That would have been sick.
That's the sunglasses. Yeah, we're on a mission from God. All right, important. Here's no more clowning. Here's a real question. I couldn't find Tahitian coral listed in the Fender Custom Shop book. Did they still use that color?
It's not real. It never happened. You just got Berenstain.
What are you talking about? We're gaslighting.
You know what
right
I'm
here.
talking about.
Yeah.
What's that thing
Oh my!
called?
It's the Mandela effect.
Mandela effect. Never existed.
Mandela effect.
It was always Fiesta Red.
Oh my God. That'd be hilarious. If we started to think Tahitian coral never existed, I swear to God,
it was
true.
Ultra faded, ultra aged Fiesta Red the whole time. You're all fools, suckers.
So listen, there are lots of colors they take out of the book, and they, if you know the right people, we will ask for them, because like I've ordered a few lately where the color's not in the book, and obviously they were Fender colors before, or maybe not Fender colors. Now you cannot. So like if you're doing a custom shop, you can't color match unless you're doing a master build, and it costs quite a bit. But you can ask for certain things or kind of have some reference picks and get close, right? Like there's some kind of workarounds. But a color like that used to be a Fender color, I've never asked for one that wasn't in the book where they told me no, or everything I've asked for that's gone from the book, they've always said yes. So if you are custom ordering, like I don't know that you'll see any like in the wild, like just out there that's not in the book. But if you custom order one, absolutely.
Now, something that we've had before as well, some people tend to get a little overboard with like the color spectrum. Like they're like, well, I wanted to be exactly like, have a little bit of grace with it. All right, dude. Like it's, you wanted faded Fiesta Red. It's going to be a version of faded Fiesta Red. They're not all the same, Unless you wanted to be the same, then you can pay a couple grand.
Faded, aged, faded, super faded, aged.
Exactly. I mean, it's just
super faded, super aged.
I talked to a guy who was like pissed. He was like, "Oh, I wanted it to be the color of this blender that I found from the sick." I'm like, "Hey, man, all right."
What's funny, man, is by the time you send a picture, then they match it and then send you a picture. It's like telephone, right? Like it's not really.
And then the painter, he's like,
It's hard
"Okay,
unless they have the blender, right?
What's
like
that?
it's weird.
seafoam green. Okay, I'll just mix that one up." No.
Hey, someone says, which tube amp with headphone jack would you guys recommend for late night bedroom playing? This is definitely the pricey answer. So, like, you might want a less pricey. If you wanted less, well, and I don't really even know how much these things cost anymore, but the Rev amps are cool. But what I was going to say, my top choice for this would be a Super 15, Magnetone Super 15, because it's got the headphone jack with its own volume and speaker emulation. It's still fully tubed, and it's got a built-in speaker load, so you can unplug the main speaker and you're cool without it needing any kind of load box or any kind of junk. So I think if that was a big consideration, but you still wanted like a kick-ass tube amp, hard to beat the Super 15. And that's the only Magnetone at the moment with those featers.
Which is pretty cool. You won't see it. It's inside of the chassis. Yep. So if you see
so like
one
if
in
you
the
get
wild,
a combo, it's like underneath. If it's a head, it's a little easier to see. But Super 15 has that. But if you got another Super or another Magnetone amp, it's in my brain. Don't go unplugging your speakers and playing it because it will damage things. But you can do it on the Super 15. So good question.
Anybody's ever like plugged out of like the ohms into a set of headphones?
Yes.
Probably, right?
Yeah. I bet people have done all sort of ridiculous things.
I kind of want to go home and plug my pedals into headphones right now just to see what happens.
It's kind of like that. It's like that.
Something really dumb. Like some,
probably nothing. Just nothing will happen.
Well, I thought that, and then I was like, but if
because there's no like driving. There are pedals that like the little micro amp. Remember the micro amp?
Yeah.
The MXR micro amp.
Yeah.
I used to want one of those so bad.
I'm gonna do something weird. I'm gonna video it too. I think I know a way to make it work.
What's that? What's the little video of the man with the electric guitar and he plugs it into the wall and it hits the strings? It's like,
yeah.
Yeah. You know, what are you gonna do? Peter Moore, come on, fly over here.
You guys been listening to the new Hannah Montana album?
Yes, it's great.
Miley Cyrus.
Is that a thing?
She's got some new song out that I don't really like. It's nothing against her. It's just it's not a good song. Yeah. Sorry.
Now here's an interesting thing. So Mike Gamby says, as someone who grew up playing a 10-watt Gorilla amp and never had a chance to experience a real good amp, I don't know what you mean. Gorilla amps are amazing.
We got one.
we do. Brought a Helix LT to figure out what amps effects I'll eventually buy. I think that's a pretty good way to go. Like I tell my students that sometimes, like buy a cheap multi thing, figure out what now the only thing about it, right? Sometimes when you have that snapshot, whether it's a Helix or whatever, you get the real thing and it doesn't immediately seem like the same thing, right? Because
there's a lot of tweaking.
You know, you can have it wide open in the Helix, right? You're basically hearing it like what it would sound like mic'd and then processed in some way, right? So like to me, like I've never really played. I mean, you know, like if you went and got a JT M45, you know, like a Marshall or like an old Marshall Blues Breaker, you know, like the Clapton thing, and you play one of those amps in a room, sometimes you're like, oh. I mean, they're amazing, right? But they got to be so loud, you know, and you just kind of have to know how it functions, right? Where that maybe that's your favorite setting on the Helix LT, right? So it, you know, other than that, I think that is a fantastic way to go, just especially with the effects. Like, hey, I hate flangers, or I like flangers, or I love chorus, or I hate chorus, or, you know, I really like delay, but I don't like reverb. You know what I mean? Like, I think for that, that's a really good way to do it.
Terrific way. Yeah. So. I had a PV Viper VIP2 that it had all kinds of effects in it. I got to play around enough to figure out what I really liked. And then,
well, I was going to say, even the Mustangs are like the GTX stuff now. Is a great, I mean, you know, would I want that to be like my only amp? No. But if you're starting out and you want to figure out what you dig and what you don't dig, probably a solid way to do it.
That's right.
So, you know.
Especially the Marshall thing too, though. Like, no, those amps must be very loud to get the full effect.
Because they can sound thin, especially if you're used to Fender amps. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a different beast.
It is.
And I think like for me, I got used to what the EQ settings should be like the tone settings on like Fender amps. And then when I play other amps, I'm like, oh, it should just be this.
Yeah.
And it's not. And like even on the Magnatone, it still kills me that I have to run my treble below noon sometimes. Right. And like,
Because you're so used to like, if I get it,
because
it
you
should be
well,
5 or up.
you get in your brain that like it has to be a certain way to get this tone, and you forget to just use your ears, right? And then you're like paranoid about, all right, I get that way.
I'm gonna challenge all y'all. You ready? And you've done this, I'm sure. But go out and plug into your favorite amp, turn all the EQs down, and then go knob by knob, playing like just an open E or something like that. Play strum a chord and turn them up, and really listen to what it's doing as it goes up, and keep playing it.
You'd be pretty. It's pretty.
You'd
That's a
be-
fun
yes.
exercise too.
You'd be very surprised, and I think you might learn something about your amp as well, because some amps are meant to be set, flat is 0, flat is the opposite way sometimes too, where it's all the way at 10. So
like whether they're taking away or adding,
That's right,
passive,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
No. And Axe to Grind says we need to play more Crazy Train. Seriously, one day we're gonna have Sean play you Crazy Train. He's the only one
played-
worthy.
Well, I played
Doing
Crazy
it.
Train at my aunt's wedding, which was pretty dope.
You did-
So I
you did.
got a wild and fun, loving family. My grandma watches anything that I am in on the casino stuff, so she will watch this, I'm sure. She was there. We went all out.
All out, man. What
That's
else did you play? Like the theme to
It was the theme to Lord of the Rings and Freebird, but they wanted me to play music for them to walk down the aisle too. So I did like Free Falling and stuff, because it's nice, and you can kind of you showed me that, where it's like you can kind of play around within that and make it nice and soft and stuff. And then immediately into Crazy Train, because my aunt is kind of crazy in a cool way.
we got a request for some Molly Hatchet. Hell yeah, brother. I'm not. I'm
Hi, Sean's grandma. There you go.
I'm not against Molly Hatchet.
Dude,
I'm not gonna say no.
My grandma's the bomb. She loves Eric Clapton. She hates that I don't like Eric Clapton. It's awesome.
Baxter is always getting his hair puffed on Wednesday mornings. That's what happens. Wednesdays are for hair puff. A real fan would know that.
I was going to say, that sounds really inappropriate if you think about it. He's
All right.
what?
On that note, do we have anything else, boys? Is there anything else pressing, Derek? Anything else we need to discuss for the Wednesday?
Derek said it's Tokyo time.
It's Tokyo Express time. It's also Wednesday is always
Tokyo
Tokyo
time.
Express. It's basically chicken smothered in mayonnaise.
Delicious.
But it is delicious. By mayonnaise, I mean white sauce. But man, it's good. Anyways, we always appreciate. Hello, Todd. Thank you. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Appreciate you coming to the live streams and watching all the videos.
Appreciate all the
Yes.
Um,
the love.
all the generous tips.
tips, dude. The tips are amazing.
feeds us.
All the peer pressure to
Listen,
drink alcohol.
We had so much fun last Wednesday getting drunk that we may do that again. Not anytime soon.
No. I think we need to do it next
We need
week.
a good break.
Like a nice into the afternoon. I think we should do it every day.
Yo, that would be sick. If you would like to see us do 3-hour live streams where we just like
Get drunk.
I want Derek on camera too. That's
That's the thing. We got to get Derek on camera.
And we literally just talk. We have the Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday afternoon
Tell
come
the
down.
truth about the guitar industry.
Here's the things you guys don't know.
We're gonna have to get a gag order on
The
Derek.
dirty underbelly. Seriously. I think Derek should be like, do you remember the Home Improvement where it was just the dude's eyes?
Oh.
Over the fence, like Wilson, the neighbor.
That's brilliant.
I think Derek should just be like this, but we have a.
And you
have a
tell the
fence,
truth.
you
You
know?
just give it the truth, and you're like, "That's not Derek."
So then when the guitar companies call, we don't know who that was.
Who?
That was D-Rec. He just comes by.
D-Rec.
Yeah, I mean, we could get drunk and play guitar intermittently. Anyways, thank you again. We'll be getting intoxicated on here again soon, it sounds like. And
We'll be getting intoxicated on a screen near you.
We'll see you next time.
Whoa.
Subscribe,
the
subscribe.
bell.
The bell, that's right.
Smack the bell. Give it up.
Press it gently.
Nah.
Start sending us beer instead of whiskey. Send us